Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Monday, April 1st, which is the worst day to be on the internet. We're on the European account, so we need to get Rogue or Warrior victories. We need to play Overload cards. We don't have any Overload cards, so we probably need to look at, let's see, what our Rogue Wild deck would be, and maybe delete this. So we had an odd Rogue with some +1 things, so that's kind of useless. Now let's get rid of that, and instead we make a new deck with Rogue, make it wild.
If you make a wild deck, you can only use it in wild games.
And basically all we want is Overload. Is it not Overload? There's Overkill. What? Oh, you know what? I'm stupid. This is the problem. It's not the Rogue that has Overload. It's Shaman that has Overload. And so there's like Lightning Storm is the one Overload card in the Shaman. What do we have here? The Token Shaman. That's not good enough either. So we need to make a Shaman deck with Overload in it. So yeah, I was totally wrong there. Let's just fill this up with as many things that will interact with each other as possible with Overload abilities. Let's see. Okay, that should be good. And we can just call this Overload. It's probably not gonna win me any games, but it will get that daily quest done real quick. We started late and we're just having a real laid back Monday today. There is certainly a question about how do you get the YouTube hype energy back. I don't know if I ever had it, frankly. And frankly, I've decided to sell my channel as cool, calm, and complete, or something along that line. I don't even know what my own slogan is. But yeah, it seems like it's pretty lazy. Pretty lazy Monday right now. Alright, since it's April 1st days, Gamatsu has an article, April Fool's Day 2019 compilation. I want to say this is specifically Japanese April 1st, Japanese video game April 1st things, so we're just gonna mention these and then move on. So Bloodstained Ritual of the Night is apparently jokingly selling blood packs, and Let It Die is an action figure for the Uncle Death character. Video Game Donkey. Okay, Video Game Donkey, not a Japanese person, but Sonic Royale was jokingly announced. A Nintendo Direct beat 'em ups video is made by a YouTuber called Beat 'em Ups. Never heard of him. Marvel It Up is a sequel to Cube It Up, which I've never heard of. A game called Love Thyself, a Horatio story, a visual novel set in an endless space universe. Doom, The Joy of Slaying. Mortal Kombat 11 is some kind of dance video. Origin PC Building League joke. Yeah. None of these are really funny. That's what the problem here is. None of these are ever fun. Rainbow is Magic Collection, new on the 6th, which is, I guess, My Little Pony skins for Rainbow Six Siege. Minecraft 3D joke. Payday Royale joke. Yeah, none of this is funny. Let's just skip through some of this. Digital Foundry says Bubsy is the ultimate mascotting game, Bubsy being a terrible game. None of this is funny. Why spend any of this effort? On the other hand, I guess Reddit is going through drama where r/games just shut down completely for some, it seems like, best I can tell, a SJW woke appearance. Like that they're afraid of too many inflammatory joke posts on r/games and shut it completely down, which is insane. But heck, that's kind of Reddit in a nutshell. Let's see. Splatoon Island for smartphones. Interesting concept. I wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo did something like that, where it was a beach volleyball. I actually want to watch this one. We're also going to have to exit out because this is not going to work. Let's reload. So the idea, when you get away from Dead or Alive Extreme and the Bikini Beach volleyball idea, and you turn a Splatoon, the Squid Inkling kids playing on on islands, just playing on the beach, that concept works. That is just Sinrin Kagura Peach Beach Splash. And frankly, from what I'm seeing in this joke video, which people spend way too much time on, this doesn't even look like it's a volleyball game as much as it is a walking around chatting with people and talking game at the first. And there seems to be some form of games, but like one's on a banana boat and you're shooting each other and playing Splatoon on banana boats. That looks like that would be a great idea. I don't know why it would be on mobile. And it does, another one looks like it's a dancing game, or that the musical performers are just showing off. This actually looks like a pretty good idea. And then the trailers, like you date, and one of the squids is giving a wedding ring to another one of the squids. I don't know any of them. So there's like a romance element. That would be the part that Nintendo would take out of it, is the romance element. But you could totally have a Splatoon DLC where they are on an island, and that would totally make sense. You just would not go with the super small two-piece bikinis. Wow. This joke video just scrolled through like 100 people's names as in the credits. I wonder if that's how many people really worked on it. So what else do we have for April Fool's Days that is interesting? Elsa to Smash Brothers Ultimate, not really needed. Wouldn't happen. If you're gonna have Disney characters show up in Smash Bros, which wouldn't be a terrible idea, I don't think you start with Elsa. Let's see. This. 1 damage to all minions. Do we want to do that? I don't think so, not yet. Just so many of these. Everybody thinks they have to do an April Fool's Day joke. No reason. No reason at all. A lot of them are just changes of art on a website or changes of arts in the game. So a lot of these Japanese ones in particular are more just, okay, we made a funny picture on our website, and that seems like that is the fine level for Honor with the raving rabbits. That seems like that's about where I'd want it to be, is just make a video and be done with it. No, that doesn't help me either. Played out of order. Or don't even make a video, just make a picture as a joke. Or a couple of pictures. Because then that's just one animator, and that is that. But when you see these long videos where people are animating things for 5 minutes, that's a lot of work. This one is Arc System Works has opened an official website called Family Death Game, a survival horror entry into the Family Game series. I don't know what the Family Game series is. Apparently, it's never come to the West. Dead or Alive Extreme Venus Vacation has a zombie character, which honestly that probably would sell just fine if you actually did have a zombie-like character in your Dead or Alive game. Okay. How many of these can I play? I can do 3. Has +2 while you have overloaded crystals. Right. And this will do this. And this will do this. And then
Elements guide me.
we'll kill that. Let's see. Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle. Fate Grand Order. This is actually a real game. For mobile, not something I imagine you'd really want to play. You know what? The Platinum game that was an Easter eggs of Bayonetta 2D, or a Bayonetta 8-bit, I believe is what it was called. It actually came out, but it's kind of impossible to find on Steam. I imagine it's still there, but it's really, really hard to find. And yeah, some of these videos aren't even loading. Like they may have been taken down already. My main point that I want to point out there is none of those are really funny. If anything, 2 out of the probably 50 that we looked at, Easter egg jokes, were interesting concepts. Certainly. I definitely would like to see the Splatoon series continue on telling a story and growing those characters. That being said, I don't know if it's really on the plate of of Nintendo to be able to handle that, because it is fairly kind of obvious that there are franchises that Nintendo just kind of drops the ball on and doesn't develop. Like the Metroid franchise, it's not getting the amount of focus that it should. So if they start expanding the Splatoon franchise, it's going to be at the cost of some other franchise. Let's see. Again, we're just trying to play overload cards. We're not even trying to win. Let's see. Next, Gematsu has an article. Bless Unleashed has been rated for the PS4 in Brazil. A PlayStation version might also be in the works. I've never heard of this game called Bless Unleashed. It's an MMO by Bandai Namco, apparently. Looks like you're fighting dragons. There's... Interesting that it would be rated in Brazil, but even at that point, it's probably a PlayStation exclusive, so I won't cover it. Tech Raptor has The Walking Dead final season episode 4 review, the end. So I want to see what they said without potentially spoiling myself. They gave it an 8.5 great. Okay. Do this. And this. And then do this. That's all I can really do. Summary: the episode called Take Us Back wraps up Clementine and AJ's story in a satisfying way, developing both characters and making sure the conclusion is worth sticking around for. Getting finally to put Clementine's story to rest is a doozy. Pros: Clementine and AJ are fantastic characters, AJ being the kid that Clementine ended up taking care of. Satisfying ending for the series, some fun gameplay moments. Cons: side characters are mostly missing in action, and more QTEs, QuickTime events, than past episodes. That's not a bad thing. I've said it before, but it's worth saying again that even though right now the Telltale series is an Epic Store exclusive, that does not mean I want to see that be a bad series or wrap up badly. I'm two-pot committed at the moment, having played all the previous Telltale games, to want that to happen. This. And we can kill that, I guess. I don't know if that helps anything. Gematsu has an article here. Nintendo launches its E3 2019 website. I don't think Nintendo has a stage event though at E3, so it's just going to be showing things. So yeah, it's going to have some championships and fights. E3, in Nintendo's mind at least, is going to turn into just a place where a bunch of people go. Now, interesting, I was just listening to a podcast last night talking about how Vegas is actually failing to convince younger people to come to it and visit it. Vegas has gotten bad about charging for parking, regulating how fast you have to play on the casino floor to get free drinks, charging you for concessions, even charging you if you open the refrigerator in your hotel room and put in your own food. They're still going to charge you for using the refrigerator, even if you didn't move or moving new things. And all the refrigerators have these electronic devices that if you even pick something up and put it back down in the refrigerator, it charges you for it. And so you've got to waste an hour being harassed by a manager to get those charges removed. So it's just like, it's not really treating its customer base very well. The slot machines and things are not interesting to people who play video games. Alright, now we need to play Rogue Warrior games. Just standard Rogue Warrior. And I don't know if I can actually win with any Rogue Warrior games, even at rank 23. So, on one hand, you have E3 stopping being this business event where people go to talk to game devs and potentially make business deals, and it's turning into this more fan event, more like Comic-Con, at least in the minds of Nintendo, where you're just gonna have video game players. But on the other hand, Vegas is probably too expensive for its own good to do that. And if you're going to have video game contests, and it's going to be more like a Comic-Con for video games, I don't know why that isn't just PAX. Yeah, I don't know what E3 can offer, as it seems to be dying year after year. Or getting smaller and less relevant year after year. But maybe that is a narrative that is just overemphasized and not accurate too. Right. So next we have a game on Steam called Magic Heart, which is sexual content and nudity. This came out the 31st. Just wanted to mention that so that the lewd games are back. It looks like it's a visual novel, but a cheap one for $1.79. It's English and Russian, and the animation style does not look particularly interesting.
What now?
Listen here.
So yeah, my concern, my growing concern is now slightly alleviated. As for this specific game, yeah, it's not going on the fall list or anything. But yeah, Steam will just be under that suspicion, I guess, for at least a year. Like until time just passes and heals all wounds, the Steam will just always be under the suspicion about, oh, are they flippantly changing their mind again? And it's not like Steam hasn't done other things to prove that they're inconsistent on just corporate guidance. Like, there's no leadership there, clearly, because you wouldn't have the swing left and right with the review bombing stuff. You wouldn't have the abrupt changes that irritate everybody. Most recently, they've kind of given up on Artifact and said, we're going back to the drawing board and we're going to try and make a game that people actually want to play. So we'll have to see what happens on that point. If you're holding a dragon, destroy a damaged enemy minion. I guess that'll do something. But then I was just gonna buff up that guy. That was a mistake. Let's see. TechRaptor has an article here. Abracadaboom explodes onto early access this April. This is kind of a hype game. I want to see what this game is, though. I suspect it's like 4 players against each other in some kind of Bomberman clone. Yeah, it's a Bomberman clone, from what I can tell. Yep, that's exactly what it is. It's a 4-player Bomberman clone. Nothing to be hyped about there. Can I do 5 damage
Dragon
if I did this?
Light the fuses!
Let's see. Gamatsu has an article here. The SRB has rated Yakuza Kiwami 2 for PC, so a PC version of Yakuza 2 is likely incoming. I think the Kiwami series at this point is the way you would want to play Yakuza. I think I might be lucky enough to not own any of the Yakuza games at this so far. So buy Kiwami 1, buy Kiwami 2. I'm not sure I really want to play the Yakuza series though. Nor am I even really sure that there's that much demand for coverage of that kind of game. It might just be a little too niche. Next we have a game on Steam called Legend of the Traveler, which looks like it's a card-based fighting game. Looks pretty simplistic and not very varied visually. English was not supported. It's $7.99. It's a Chinese game, so we really don't have to go any further from that. Next we have a low effort title called Unreal Maze Survival, and it looks like an low effort game. They couldn't even record the square correctly to make it full screen. 59 cents, yeah, right.
Quickly.
Alright, Gamasutra has an article from the 30th. Valve teases its own VR headset, the Valve Index, for a May reveal. This is a real news as far as I understand it. I saw rumors about it many months ago that they were working on a new VR headset. Does it do anything specifically better or different? Not really to my knowledge so far. It seems like it's probably just a slightly improvement over the HTC Vive, which they were licensing / bought or something. I can't even remember how that worked. The Knuckles, the 3D controllers, are the more important part of this, and they're still trying very hard to find a way to make that work and have a controller in VR make sense and not be a nightmare scenario for inputs for games. But the Index is reportedly, I think, as expensive as any of the other VR headsets, so it's not going to come in really cheap. And some rumors that it will probably be bundled with some other Valve products like the Knuckles, or potentially a or potentially a Valve game or two, because Valve says it has like 2 or 3 VR games in development. I wouldn't be surprised if it's just Counter-Strike Go working in VR, Portal in VR, and maybe Half-Life 1 in VR. And Half-Life VR, if it is just the same old game, would be slightly interesting, but not hugely interesting. Moving on, GameIndustry.biz has an article, Brendan Green, I'm done with Battle Royale. The PUBG designer discusses his move to a new special projects team and the privilege of now working without a deadline. This was on April 1st, but I don't believe this actually is a April Fool's Day joke, because this was talked about earlier. There's another quote that was quote mined out of this. that said there's a top level of the number of players you can put in a battle royale game, and just having something like 1,000 versus 1,000 players is not something that's going to run well or in any way really improve the experience, because you're going to constantly run into this problem of trying to find enough players for these bigger battle royales. In all honesty, it's really probably going to boil down to most battle royale games being down from even 100 down to 50, and then eventually as there's more competition, they'll probably jump from 50 to 25, maybe even from 25 to about 12, and at that level you're just playing a online game. So yeah, and there's really no way to get around that or change that. That's just kind of, as competition increases, how I imagine it's going to go. Gamma Sutra has an article. Get a Job Crystal Dynamics is looking for a senior tools engineer in Redwood City, California. So if you're interested in that. Gamma Sutra has another story. Konami rebrands its New York office as Konami Cross Media New York Incorporated, which is definitely a point to say that Konami is not a video game story, not a video game company.
Get in there and fight, maggot.
It's going to have a renewed focus on intellectual property, so it's going to basically license out games, is what I'm getting from this, for Yu-Gi-Oh!, Bomberman, Contra, and Frogger. Or maybe Konami is going to actually make their own, or at least publish their own games. What? After you attack a minion, force it to attack one of its neighbors. Well, that doesn't work. If they die, does it? Let's see, the article goes on. This move seems to finalize Konami's desire to further distance the studio from its roots as an office under 4Kids Entertainment, which oversaw the English dub of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime series before Konami acquired it. Oh, so that's why they did it. I guess, though, there probably is still a Yu-Gi-Oh! Cartoon happening somewhere, so on TV, so there's probably something to that idea, and
My dragon be hungry.
there probably is a bit to the concept of licensing out things like Bomberman, Contra, and Frogger, at least for those little toys that get sold, those little toy arcade cabinets. Meanwhile, I'm playing the Castlevania Lord of Shadow Mirror Fate HD game, which is, it really feels like the beginning of the end for Konami as a video game company. It's just like, clearly they didn't care. They did not put enough money into this to have it be developed as even a good DS game, which is what it was originally, and so it's just left as extremely short, very linear Castlevania game, and Castlevania games should not be linear. Moving on, Gamma Sutra has an article. Sony tweaks the PlayStation Store refund and cancellation policy in the United States. They've updated how refunds work, meaning that users can now seek a refund for guns, games, DLC, and add-ons within 14 days of purchase. What I question here, though, is outside of the United States, there's a lot of countries where the law is 30 days, if not longer, So the United States is still getting the shaft, but I guess maybe you weren't even allowed any refunds. But maybe it was like seven days before. I'd really like to know what it was before. There are some caveats, however, and users will only be able to refund content that hasn't been downloaded. As soon as someone hits download, they'll only be able to get their money back if they prove the content is faulty. Yeah, that does not sound like good customer service. You know, for all the rage against the Epic Store, somebody probably should do a review of what it is like buying things on the Xbox Store and the PlayStation Store and the Nintendo Store in the United States, because I think particularly the PlayStation Store is not great.
Here we go.
What do I want to do? I'm gonna play this. What's more, the article continues. PlayStation Store shoppers will also be able to refund any pre-ordered digital content they've ordered up until launch, with all the funds being returned to the PSN wallet. If a pre-order was made within the 14 days of the release, users will have a standard 2 weeks to cancel it, assuming they don't try and sneak in a download.
Here we go.
Let's see. The article continues. At a glance, it looks like the response to the changes is lukewarm at best, while most view this new policy as a small step in the right direction and one that helps people refund accidental purchases. The majority of chatter seems to revolve around Sony's reluctance to implement the same refund policy as Steam or Epic. Both the Epic and Steam Store let users return games they've played for less than 2 hours within 14 days, meaning people can try out their purchases for a short while before deciding to return them. Which, yeah, that would be nicer.
Here we go.
That would be nicer treatment. Sony, for whatever reason, has decided against taking that route and has instead made the download button the point of no return. You can see the full list of policy changes over at this PlayStation support page. So, yeah, I'd still say stick with Steam. You're going to have a much better deal. I think the sales on Steam are probably way better than what you would get on Sony anyways.
There once was a man from Gilneas.
Okay. So, if I could get this on the field, it probably is still not enough to do damage. Enough damage, though. And I need to get rid of the other guy in my hand. So I need to play this and this. Frankly, this all just boils down to the United States in general needing laws for more consumer protection, instead of us being happy that one company has decided to be slightly nicer. We should be upset that it's not the case for all of them.
Here we go.
This. Play this.
Was a man from Gilneas.
Yeah, this is not gonna work. Gamma Sutra, this is an April 1st article, but I think it's true. Sega joins the mini console revolution with the Genesis Mini. It will cost apparently $80 and launch September 19th. It will be preloaded with 40 legendary titles. Let's see. They don't have a full game roster, but it will have Sonic the Hedgehog, Altered Beast, Echo the Dolphin, Castlevania Bloodlines, Toe Jam, and Earl. Okay, I believe that to be true. What would be interesting from the kind of these things get hacked very easily perspective would be to find out if this actually is a rather easy or more powerful device than the Nintendo Minis, because the Nintendo Minis were pretty underpowered and the Atari Mini was a joke. So if the Genesis has like twice the amount of RAM, twice the amount of processor power or something, then you would see a significant number of people buying the Genesis Mini, hacking it to play Nintendo games, and you'll probably see a lot of that regardless, but that would be the ultimate slap, is, oh, we bought your device just so we could hack it and play games that you didn't even bother to make. Let's see. I don't think we're gonna win here. Gamatsu has an article, Super Neptunia RPG coming to PC this summer. PlayStation 4 and Switch versions are due out this spring. So
It's tasty.
this doesn't feel like the Neptunia girls I recognize, so I don't know if this is a whole new collection of characters or what. Let's see. Yeah. Maybe these are custom characters that you can make in the game. Well, I'm slowly trying to get more and more of the Neptunia series done. And see, I think I can win. I think I can win in the next turn regardless of what he does. That +5 damage, +5 damage.
Who wants to play?
I will enjoy.
We already talked about this, but TechRaptor has an article, Valve focusing on larger artifact issues, not shipping updates in the immediate future. Yeah, they're at worst case scenario, you would say they're regrouping in more realistic. It's probably easier to say they're probably waving the white flag, but they haven't completely given up on the concept. And an argument could be made that this might very well have been the only way to get a game out of Valve, is perhaps in a haphazard bad release state is better than just falling into the standard Half-Life 3 hole of games and just like having the games nowhere close to being released. What was often said is we'll release Half-Life 3 when it's perfect or when it's done. And so getting away from the mentality that it has to be a perfect product to be put out the door might be a good symptom. It's not a great symptom. It would be ideal that Valve, with its money, if it just had strong leadership, should be able to make a perfectly fine AAA game and release it. But there have been a lot of years. In fact, I think 2011 was when Portal 2 came out, so that's the last game that even interests me that Valve has released. It was 8 years ago. Maybe it was 2004, 14, no, maybe 18 years ago. Wow. Time flies. Regardless of whether you're having fun or not, a lot of times. Moving on, we have a game called Nuke Viver, which looks like a low-effort asset flip survival game. Says it's an RPG. I see no enemies. I see nothing interesting. It's early access for $8.49 discounted. English and Turkish. Interesting choice of languages. We already talked about this story. Gamma Sutra has the same story. Sony will switch off the Drive Club servers in March of 2020. Let's see, we have a top-down shooter on Steam called Die Already, which just looks like a top-down twin-stick shooter. Which there's far too many of these on Steam. 69 cents discounted. In English and Russian languages. Let's see.
I see a vision into flames.
Shuffle a copy of your player's hand into your deck. Add 2 random dragons. Let's do this one. Well, that got me Malagos. But I'm not playing a Malagos deck. I'm playing a warrior deck. So Gamma Sutra has this article. Valve walks through the dev-focused features headed to Steam in 2019. This is pretty much a video from GDC. How long would this video be? 46 minutes. That might be something that I would be interested in. And it's odd that YouTube is suggesting to me manipulating the YouTube algorithm. I imagine that is not a video that would help me in any way. GameIndustry.biz has the same story. Sony updates policy to allow refunds on pre-orders. Like, in all honesty, if somebody found a way to manipulate the YouTube algorithm, that would be extremely valuable information. There would be no reason to put it out. Like, for free on YouTube. You would sell that information. You would keep it for yourself. You would get views. Next, we have a game on Steam, Real Owls Humanity Academy. It looks like a crazy asset flip VR game. Yeah, just random garbage. This one's free, but requires VR. And it has no in-app purchases, so yeah, if you want to check it out, it's there. Doesn't really interest me, even if I did have VR. We've got a lot of news. I'm fairly certain we're gonna. I probably just need to move over to the Asian account even right now. I've done 2 of the 3 daily quests, and we started late. On the other hand, though, there's a potential here where the new expansion might come out tomorrow, and then I'll end up streaming all of tomorrow, and so getting this done early today might be helpful. Let's see. TechRaptor has an article, Kingdom Come Deliverance, the amorous adventures of Bold Sorhan's Captain Review, Fool's Errand. This is an April 1st post, and I think this is an April Fool's Day joke of somebody just playing Kingdom Come Deliverance. I don't know if this really is DLC or not. TechRaptor in particular was putting out quite a lot of April Fool's Day jokes. Either way, I guess it really doesn't matter. I'm not gonna play Kingdom Come Deliverance anytime soon. TechRaptor has another article. Bloody Palace mode is now available for Devil May Cry 5. I've tried really hard to leave all the April Fool's Day stuff out. Bloody Palace mode, I believe, is just a wave-based Devil May Cry mode that people were sort of interested in. TechRaptor has the same article. Sword Art Online, Alicizion's Lycoris game announced. They don't have anything new to say there. And Project Sakura Wars Western release set for the spring of 2020. We already talked about that too. So a lot of duplicate news. TechRaptor has an article. Sega announces 6 new Sega Aegis titles headed to the Nintendo Switch. Is there a list here? Shinobi, Wonder Boy, Monsterland, Herzog Zoy, Ziwi, ZWEI. Let's see. Yeah, it sounds like a bunch of random Sega games that aren't being listed in a nice list format on TechRaptor, so I'm gonna skip the rest of them because I can't even find them in the paragraph. Like Fantasy Zone, Ichidant R, and maybe G-Lock Air Battle.
Valera versus Luna.
TechRaptor has the same article. At this point, I think TechRaptor is just getting its news directly from Gematsu. Yakuza Kiwami seems to be heading for the PC. I guess maybe Gematsu could be getting it from TechRaptor, but I would bet it's the other way around, almost certainly. Next, we have a game on Steam called Zack Hazard and the Deadly Spawn, which looks like an 8-bit shooter. Looks pretty terrible. It's $5.94. That doesn't make any sense. Let's see if it's the first game from this developer too. I need to stop trying to make sense for why games are overpriced or giving games even the benefit of the doubt as much as I do, because they always fail. They always fail to impress. Let's see. Next, there's a game on Steam called Stage of Light. Is this literally building light stages for a rock concert? I do believe this is literally just a simulation of building light stages for a rock concert, which I doubt this is highly accurate or informative. Like, I don't think this light mixing board is going to be an industry standard. I imagine they're going to be pretty different by model. $11.99. So I don't feel like you would be really learning much from that, nor do I think you'd be having much of a fun time with it. It wouldn't really be an entertaining experience. And in all honesty, I imagine most medium to big rock concerts that have lighting, there's probably pre-programmed lighting effects and motions all the time for most of it, and at best you're probably just moving up a slider a little bit here and there for the specific venue if you need to adjust the brightness. But I doubt you're doing any major programming after it's all been programmed in and plugged in. You might have to move the light if somebody's missing their cue or something, but musicians typically don't miss their cue or move to the wrong side of the stage in a way that it matters. And there's also, I guess, a bit of a difference there where I imagine most musicians don't want bright lights on them as much as you kind of need them on them, so you're mostly just moving the lights on the audience when they couldn't care less about that. That's just to hype the audience up. When actually lighting the people, that's generally pretty flat and balanced for rock concerts. You don't want like one spotlight on each character and it be completely dark in the rest of the stage. You kind of want the entire stage diffused, flooded with diffused light. That's what I meant to say there. 2 damage to a minion. I guess I can echo that. Yeah. GameIndustry.biz has this article, quote, "At Ubisoft you always have a second chance. Interesting idea, although perhaps a bad business policy considering how many bad Ubisoft games have been made." Ubisoft's Christine Burgess-Cormard on how the company maintains its unique culture with 15,000 employees. I think it's probably a bad idea to say you always have a second chance, because that definitely implies that there's literally nothing you could do to get fired on the first offense. So let me just throw out some scenarios at any job where you should not get a second chance. If you walk up to your boss and slap him in the face, you shouldn't get a second chance there. If you're stealing money from the coffers, you probably shouldn't be given a second chance there. If you crash the company car because you're going 200 in a 30-mile lane, probably shouldn't be given a second chance there. There's a lot of things, let's just face it, that you should not be given a second chance. So saying that as in general as a policy is potentially even opening her up to a lawsuit. Because now if somebody gets fired for the first offense on something, then they're going to definitely come back and use her words in a lawsuit if they chose to. The exact quote here is, "We don't cut people's heads if they make a mistake first time. We would give them a second chance." That's slightly differently phrased, which might make it work a little bit better. This.
There once was a man from Gilneas.
And
Here we go.
do this. So another quote here. "It's not difficult to reach the top. It's staying there that's difficult." That's also false logic. So this whole article seems to be somebody just spouting off gibberish. Meanwhile, Ubisoft has really nothing to be upset about, or that's got them in the spotlight right now. So why even do this interview? In all seriousness, why bother to have even done the interview at all when you could have just
Here we go.
stayed in the shadows where you would have been better off? Right, you know, what happened there? Oh, it activated this one instead of that one. Darn it. If I can survive this next turn, that would be interesting, but he only needs to do 1 more damage. He could use his hero power, and he can do 16 with, well, yeah, 16 damage with these guys. Let's see. Yeah, he's one. Let's take an evaluation and see if maybe we should move over to the Asian account. Yeah, we just need 1 more victory. Let's just leave this for the Asian account. Wednesday we'll have Tavern Brawls, which that might be a frustrating addition of actions that need to be done. Meanwhile, on Steam we have Picross Floof, which I assume is cats or animals of some kind. Or Picross. This doesn't look like the worst Picross game ever. It's $2.54 discounted. But I don't think I'm interested in Picross games. There's too many of them on Steam, and none of them seem to really stand out. Can't re-roll anything, so Shaman. Let's just play Shaman. Shaman, rank 21. I came in here yesterday and it had already done its rollover, so yeah, we got the rewards and I think I dusted them. Next we have a game on Steam called Carreras de Facultad, which looks like it's some kind of Spanish low effort racing game for 99 cents. Yeah, Spanish Latin American game. Looks terrible. I'm just gonna re-roll all of these. Gamatsu has an article. Steins Gate 10th anniversary website open. 10 special projects under the way. These special projects may be a it's now April 2nd in Japan, by the way. I don't think that they're all going to be new games or anything. They might be simplistic small things. One of them might be a movie, and then the next one might just be a artwork or something along that level. Something really simple. They probably stretch to get to the number 10. Let's see. TechRaptor has an article, video game releases for April 2019, days gone to gaming. So, for April 2nd, we have far loan sales for the Xbox and PlayStation 4. Darksiders War Mastered Edition, which that's kind of surprising, for the Nintendo Switch. Power Rangers Battle for the Grid for the PlayStation 4, which I saw a quick look on that, and that's unfortunately horrible and doesn't have any story in it. On April 3rd, Borderlands Game of the Year Edition for Windows, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4. On April 4th, a game called Deathmark from Microsoft Windows. Let's see. Do I want to do this? Let's just power these guys up. Let's keep them healthy. So let's just look at this grotesque horror show. It looks like a visual novel for Windows. It was released last year on the PS4 and Vita and Nintendo Switch. Interesting. Interesting that that's big enough to make it to the TechRaptor list. April 5th is Dragon Ball Heroes World Mission. I believe that's a card battler game. Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy for Windows, Xbox One, PS4, and Switch is April 9th. Also Falcon Age for the PlayStation VR. And Zinkai Zero Last Beginning for Windows and PlayStation 4. which is the weird dungeon crawling game. Let's see. Let's see if we can discover it. I should have discovered first, but whatever. We'll just keep on trying to discover more Murlocs. Let's see. Yeah, it's a dungeon crawler. Zenkai Zero is like a dungeon crawler game with clones that seem to age rapidly, and it's from the creators of Danganronpa. April 11th, Earth Defense Force Iron Rain for the PS4. April 16th, Ghost Giant. So there's a whole 5 days when nothing of note apparently is coming out. Also on April 16th is Heaven's Vault for Windows, Mac OS, and PlayStation 4. There we go. Just play that, attack. Also, on the 16th, well, let's just start over. There we have Ghost Giant for the PlayStation VR. Heaven's Vault from Microsoft Windows, Mac OS, and PlayStation 4. Heaven's Vault, the weird language game that might be great and might be incredibly boring. Anno 1800 for Microsoft Windows. World War Z for Microsoft Windows, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4. Final Fantasy XX2 HD Remaster for Xbox One and Nintendo Switch. So that's a lot of games on the 16th. And then on the 18th, you have Katana Zero for the macOS, Windows, Xbox One, PS4, and Switch. Our World is Ended, which is a visual novel for the PS4 and Switch, I believe. I don't know what Katana Zero is. I think it's a ninja fighting game. Cuphead comes to the Switch also on the 18th. And then it skips again to the 22nd. So it seems like there are definitely days in which games do not get announced. And I assume that's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. If I was to guess, you probably want to keep things around Monday, around Tuesday. Maybe go as far as Thursday. But you want to avoid the weekend at least. April 26th, a game called Jupiter and Mars for the PlayStation 4. I have no idea what that game is. It's some kind of puzzle adventure game. April 23rd is Mortal Kombat 11 for Microsoft Windows, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4. Which, personally, I don't think I'd recommend anybody buying Mortal Kombat 11. They've clearly lost their minds as far as what they think Mortal Kombat 11 is supposed to be about. And they've gone woke and they should just go broke. And I'll leave it at that. Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen for the Switch also comes out the 23rd. April 25th is Vanbrid's Cold Souls for Windows and Mac OS. SteamWorld Quest Hand of Gilgamesh for the Nintendo Switch, also on the 25th. On the 26th is Days Gone for the PlayStation 4. And Box Boy and Box Girl for the Switch. April 30th is Fade to Silence for Windows, Xbox One, and PS3. And Final Fantasy XII The Zodiac Age for Xbox One and Nintendo Switch on the 30th. So April has a lot of games coming out. Perhaps not as many as maybe the previous month by a little bit, and I will say that this month is not just flowing with games that I've heard of and really want to play, so it kind of makes you question why they bothered to squeeze so many into that first quarter. I guess it was just to get it out in the first quarter and nobody cares about the second quarter. That's my best guess. Yeah, it's gonna be slightly a light April would be my guess, because there's a lot of variety in those games and no big AAA games. Days Gone maybe is the biggest game for all of April, which is great because then the Hearthstone expansion is coming out, so I can focus a little bit more on that. Not that I was going to play any big AAA game in April anyways. So, this guy was trying to kill me and he managed to do it. So we'll just freeze him. And just do this and do that. Next we have on Steam, Love Thyself, a Horatio story. This is a April Fool's Day joke game from Sega. That being said, it is actually a real game and it is free. It's a dating sim visual novel for free. I guess I'll put it on the phone list, but I don't see a real reason why I want to play it. Seems like you can get 8 achievements. And I imagine this isn't a super long experience anyways, so 2 hours for a dating visual novel is a pretty small amount of time, so not a big investment if you were interested in checking that out. Let's see. This. Let's see. Next, we have a game on Steam called Codename Nemesis, which it looks like it's a ugly-looking, low polygon GTA clone, if I was to guess. It's coming soon. So, yeah, but I'm hardly super interested in it. I wonder why I saw it at all, come to think of it. Sometimes I see coming soon games, but most of the time I don't see them on the What's on Steam Twitter feed. What does this do? Job's done. Next we have a game on Steam called Royal Gyms, which is just a gym matching game. Nothing interesting there. $2.99 discounted. No achievements.
I wonder.
As is consistent with almost every day that ends in a Y, Gamatsu has an article. There's an Otome, Girls Love, I believe that is, visual novel called Keiru Batake de Tsukamate, coming to the Switch on July 11th in Japan. It's a 2010 release visual novel. It's getting a port here. Let's see. It was released on PlayStation 2, then the PSP, and then the Vita. Oddly, I don't think it's ever come to Steam. I guess that's not super odd, though. So, as people are abandoning the Vita, since Sony has abandoned the Vita, we've run into this weird scenario where games are getting re-released for the third, fourth time. For no reason, just so that they can make some few pennies on it. And I guess, frankly, a lot of these visual novels probably do have some consistent sales that they make throughout the ages, regardless of how old they are, because I imagine people who do play visual novels do have a tendency to just kind of burn through them and are always looking for something new. Let's see. I'm trying to see if this next game is YouTube friendly. I don't think we can show this off. Alright. So next we have this game, Hentai Sweet Battle. Instead of being a slide puzzle game or a match 3 game, it's a kind of rock, paper, scissors game where you have shield, sword, magic, fire, and you really quickly match them together, and if you lose, or if the opponent loses, they lose clothing. It's $1.90 and $1.19 with 51 achievements. That is an achievement game if you ever thought of it. It feels like they're getting a little bit better, though. Like that's not just a extremely low effort game. It seems like they actually put some thought into it this time and made something that might be fun to play for at least 5 minutes or so. Apparently has some visual novel elements in it too. Still, I would not recommend anybody buy it. It's not going to be a quality product. Not worth the money. Next, we have a game on Steam called Drunken Wrestlers, which seems like it's just a terribly programmed MMA simulator. UFC. I guess that's MMA, yeah. I don't see anything here interesting. Early access and free, but then some DLC and multiplayer only. That's another consideration. +1+1. This and let's see, attack here, and attack here. Let's see. Next, we have a troll game called International Affairs that is clearly just a troll game. Like, you never needed a better example than this to know it's a troll game. $9.74 for this joke. English only, no achievements. Yeah. Not worth supporting. I do see the end of the line, but I believe I put all the games that I left over from last Friday past the end of the line as far as my tabs, so we may leave some of these games still. Tech Raptor has an article here. Yes, Sega announced 4 Tokyo 2020 Olympics games. So that's Mario and Sonic at the Olympics, Arcade Edition at the Olympic Games. Seems like Olympic Games official version. What's this one? Is this a mobile game? The Olympics are a big deal though, so it's not insane that you would make a Mario and Sonic arcade version, a regular version, and then a mobile Olympics games, and then official Olympics game. Yeah, one of them's an iOS Android idea. One might argue that it would have been better to focus in and have just one really good Olympic game instead of 4 random Olympic games. But whatever. Well, we'll have to see if any of them are good or not, or if that even matters in this case, because it really is just advertising. That's kind of all it is. Next, we have a game on Steam called Lovers of Aether, which says it's a visual novel simulation, but this looks like a Smash Brothers clone in the gameplay. So this video probably is not representative of what the game actually is. Instead, it's just a bunch of animals. So it's fill out your furry romance. The thing I would say about a lot of these furry-esque games, this one's free by the way if you're interested, is it often seems like you can't have the same species date the same species, because they have like only one character that is a lamb, or one character that's a lion, or one character, as I'm looking at this, it's a fox, or so it's always interspecies dating, which might not fulfill the desires of the furry people. I'm supposed to be playing as Shaman and playing Shaman cards, and I'm not really accomplishing that. I'll put, well, it's free, so I guess there's no reason to put it on the follow list. Just give it a shout out. Tech Raptor has this reminder here. The psychological horror game Dollhouse comes to scare you on May 24th. I guess that is, though, almost 2 months from now. And I had completely forgotten about this game, so this is a hype article, probably embedded advertising, if I was to guess. I am interested in playing Dollhouse, or seeing it, seeing how well it's received at least, but I in no way need to be hyped about it 2 months early, and frankly that Dollhouse was announced like 6 months or longer ago. Let's see. Just draw 2 more Murlocs. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Find the Oil Racing Edition, which looks like a low effort racing game. It's probably just mostly asset flips. For $1.97. In no way looks interesting. Let's see. We have this game that's just a bunch of Asian characters, which looks uninteresting. Just like a random assortment of buildings. Free to play. What language is it? Japanese and English, it says. Yeah, I question its English language support. Next we have this game called Totally Accurate Battle Simulator, which I feel like has already been on Steam for a long time. It's rated very positively. It has a lot of reviews. So I don't know, maybe it came out of early access? No, it didn't. So I don't know how this ended up as new. This is totally not new. Also, this is kind of a troll joke game, so it's not something I really would want to play. I think someone suggested that I try this, and it's just gonna be a straight up no. Hard pass on this for me. Let's just hit that. And hit that. Next we have a game called La Tangerine Last Journey, which is some kind of weird visual novel thing. Looks like it's not even in English. Let's see. 84 cents discounted. Huge amount of bundles going on here. English and French with 4 achievements, which probably means it's an achievement game in the other direction. Yep. That looks like it's pretty bad quality. Let's see. This, and that. Next we have a game on Steam called Monster Survival, which is probably an asset flip game of just creatures running around in open field. It looks nice, but frankly, all an open field is just something you can pre-buy at this point. I'm seeing no UI, I'm seeing no gameplay mechanics. I'm just seeing a bunch of random monsters. Early access for $14.99, that seems like that is really expensive, too. Says it's an action RPG. How can it be an action RPG when there's no UI in any screenshots? And you don't even, I can't even tell what animal you're playing as if you're playing as a human. I think you're playing as a human. And there's just random assortment of animals that they've added to that. Right, 2 Murlocs. And let's power this guy up. I guess the problem here is I'm playing a Shaman deck that doesn't have any Shaman cards in it. I'm playing a Murloc deck as a Shaman. Already talked about that. Next we have an extremely low effort game here called Slime Simulator Games, which looks like it's a mobile game that's been ported. It's free to play. English and Arabic as languages, that's strange. Choice. Next we have a game called Stickmageddon, which looks like a Stickman game. It's already rated negatively. It looks terrible. Yeah, this looks like it's just shooting people. It's a tower defense while shooting people for 59 cents is best I can tell. Next we have a game called Itazura VR Safe for Work, which tells me there's probably a not safe for work version. It's tagged with sexual content, frankly. Seems like another VR game. Although, in all fairness, there's something weird about this. I guess it's not a fair statement to say. She does not look visually attractive to me at all. She looks very, very bland. It feels like it's a low-effort Chinese clone of some of the Japanese VR dating games, and she does not look like an anime character, so that kind of kills the idea of these VR waifu-style games in the first place. This is English and Japanese. She's cute, but she's not super attractive or anything. So I don't see why you would go for that look. Okay, so what I need to do is come over here and see what my Token Shaman deck looks like. Yeah, Token Shaman is way better. So I need to come over here, switch to Wild, play this, play Token Shaman, and go. Alright, Gamatsu has an article here. Where's the mouse? Final Fantasy VII Remake Project Lead is now co-director. Naoki Yoshida division developing large-scale next-generation project and minor updates to the Square Enix recruitment site. So there's been some political moving for the Final Fantasy VII Remake, but in general, you should probably assume that it's still in trouble. It's in development, allegedly only for the PlayStation 4, but it's taking way too long to come out, and it's not probably going to be an amazing product. Next, we have a game on Steam called Uni, which seems to be an assortment of mini games, like a WarioWares style game. I'm cool with the idea of a WarioWares style game, depending on how many mini games. There's only 30 in this. That seems
Welcome.
a little low.
Care to hear your
$7.99. And apparently it's multiplayer only. Yeah, that's a little too low, frankly. You needed about 100 mini games, not 30, to do a WarioWare clone. I'd be interested in that, but not by much. Not with that few things. It's not video game related, but Japan's ending its era after 30 years, ahead of the emperor's abdication. Excuse me. So the new era is REIWA, which would be Riawa, I assume is how it's pronounced, will be the new era. Eras seem to be a non-specific length of time based on the emperor's or their emperor's lineage. But probably not going to change much, or the name being different is not going to change much, but the emperor abdicating might change a little. For I don't know how much the emperor really affects it. It's kind of more like the queen in the UK, where they don't really step into politics. Moving on, Gematsu has an article. The Fighting EX Layer DLC character area has been delayed to June or July, and the Fighting EX Layer Alpha has been released for smartphones. So, area apparently is the name of a character, not just a actual area. Not sure where Fighting EX Layer falls in the list of potential games I want to play. Give this elemental +2/+2, and let's see. This will actually work pretty well. Hit that. Hit that. Yeah, I'm working to burn through all the news. As much news as we can burn through today, the better. Next we have the Wastelands, a game called Wasteland Survival, which looks like it's just a survival game. Doesn't look terrible, but it's already mixed reviews. Early access, free with in-app purchases. I think that business model ruins it. The fact that it's also English and Chinese, English, Russian, and Chinese is suspicious, frankly, too. It's very well may just be an asset flip game, and definitely a lot of this looks like it is ideas and concepts stolen from Fallout and other games. Let's see.
How long can this go on? How long can this go on?
Give your minions +1 attack. Let's hit this and that. And the net, and that, and that. So yeah, Wasteland Survival not making it to the list. Next we have a game on Steam called Bears and Tanks, which looks like a low effort tank game. Looks hideous. And the camera looks like it's all over the place. 99 cents with no discount. I don't think anything more needs to be said about that. PAX is officially over. I think I already talked to that. So this is probably one of the most likely wrong April Fool's Day messages that I'm getting suckered into. TechRaptor has an article here. Borderlands 3 heading to the Epic Games Store released this fall. In what appears to not be an April Fool's Day joke, Gearbox has recently announced Borderlands 3 may be released later this fall and will be heading to the Epic Games Store. Let's see.
There is little time.
Now, I wouldn't be surprised if it actually is coming to the Epic Games Store, but it's also coming to Steam. There's a logo here that they're giving us information for. So here you have Epic Games Store, although that might just be the logo for Epic because they're using the Unreal Engine and 2K and Gearbox. Let's see. This was the thought, certainly, that I was having as I was trying to strengthen myself against being hyped from Borderlands 3, is that they are going to just try to get everybody hyper excited about it, and then they were going to just try to silently put out that it's going to be an Epic Games Store exclusive. We still haven't seen any solid evidence that it's an exclusive. But I wouldn't be surprised if it is on Epic's Game Store and Steam. That would make all the sense in the world. But if it is an exclusive, I wouldn't be really surprised about that either. And the question would be, is that because of Gearbox or is that because of 2K? Because it could very well be the case that it's actually 2K that would make it an exclusive, not Gearbox. Because in a weird way, Gearbox needs the games to be well received. The Borderlands games to be well received even more than 2K does. 2K would certainly like it, but there's, I imagine, other things 2K can sell, whereas Gearbox, if Borderlands 3 doesn't succeed, is going to be in a bad position for many years, if not potentially struggling to even stay afloat financially. Next we have a game on Steam with a bunch of Asian characters called The Three Kingdoms of China. This is a Three Kingdoms RPG, which they always make everything based on the Romance of the Three Kingdoms books. It looks horrible. It's free, and it only supports Chinese language. I don't really know how much of the reasoning behind why there are so many Chinese games based on the Three Kingdoms books is because of the Chinese totalitarian government, or how much of it is just a general actual lack of creativity on the part of Chinese developers. It might be a little bit of both. It probably is a little bit of both. Let's see. Alright, Komatsu here does have the Sega Genesis Mega Drive Mini launching updated. So it's going to include Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Puyo Puyo Tutsu. I imagine this is the Japanese version, so it might be slightly different in the West. Shining Force, Vampire Killer, Wrestle Ball, Gunstar Heroes, Comic Zone, Renta Hero, Space Harrier 2, and Madu Monogatari 1.
Let the hunt begin for Doomhammer.
So there's a Western edition over here. I guess I can click on. The Western edition only has the 10 games mentioned, and the 10 games mentioned are different. So, yeah, it's gonna be a different experience if in the Western one. Neither of the Sega Genesis minis seem to be particularly interesting collections of games, which that was gonna always be the case in my mind, because it was gonna be hard to find a lot of Sega Genesis games that are good, particularly if you're not just trying to flood the thing with Sonic games and different versions of Sonic games. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called VR Health Care Aerobic Exercise VR Sport and Cycling in the Maya Gardens. So it's like a cycling VR game that maybe is connected to your cycle, a stationary bike. I don't know exactly how that would work. And it seems like it's just taking you all over the place and not really taking you to peaceful, calm, and relaxing places to cycle. It's taking you to like the apocalypse, which is probably what you don't want. This is $16.99. And like it seems like the game creators, when they're talking about it, it goes or maybe you can use Vive tracker, strap it to your ankle and ride on a spinning bike machine to get a better experience. So they have like no clue how to make this work either. It's not tying into any stationary bike. It's an English and Chinese game. It's clearly a cheap Chinese product that was half in development and then abandoned as a concept. Let's see. IndieSpotlight.com is not a website I usually follow, but they have this page that's just highlighting all of the Nintendo indies that were at PAX. And some of these I haven't heard of at all. Unsurprising. Whereas Cuphead, obviously, and Stranger 3 is the game I definitely have heard of. So I'll scroll through this and see if there's anything really worth mentioning. Probably not, frankly. There's like a dogs and cats game, which would probably sell pretty well on the Switch. No, yeah. Doesn't seem like there's too much there worth talking about. Turn. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Trap Shrine, which is rated very positively, tagged with sexual content. Now I'm not sure if this is oh, it is. It is a trap / cross-dresser. So this female-looking character, I imagine, is actually a male character. If that's what you're into, $8.99. Japanese language, full audio. So, kind of nice to see these games come out. So my fear is alleviated as far as whether Steam was not allowing these games to come out. Is this enough? Let's just see what happens here. Not quite close enough. I'm too short. We have just a couple more games and then we'll wrap up. Next we have a game on Steam called The Morgan, which seems to be, what was this? Dark Screenshot Syndrome game. RPG adventure game. Wasn't this one where you were a skeleton? Looks like a VR hack and slash dungeon crawler. Early access requires VR, $17.99. It is rated positively, but it's a VR game, so I'm just gonna skip it because it does not look visually appealing to me. Let's attack here. And then there's... Okay, I could have won. Then potentially...
The calm before the storm.
Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Tanzia, which looks like it's kind of an open world action adventure game. Looks like it has kind of a weird animation characters. Maybe a child-friendly, easier World of Warcraft kind of clone. $17.99. This is the kind of game that it says it's E10 plus. It might be that this isn't that good of a game. It might be that this is an okay game. So I'll put it on the follow list and we'll see. A little low polygon certainly in the graphics, but if there's an actual experience that could be had here, it depends on a lot of it. Will just have to do with, is it a storyline based RPG or is it more like an MMO where you just constantly are given randomly spawning quests? Let's see.
Brothers,
Discover an elemental. Wind Fury Overlord.
job's done. There is little time.
Next we have a horror game called The Child's Sight, which might be an interesting horror game where you're playing from the perspective of a child, I believe. Or it might not be anything. Again, $8.99 discounted. This is a game that just needs more reviews before I'm willing to give it a chance. Let's see. Summon with Sparks. And that. And that. Okay. So kill that. Ah, that healed. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called The Puppet of Tursa Episode 1, which looks like a point-and-click adventure. Not sure if I like this as an art style or if this is just kind of a basic drawing. It's $5.99 with 40% off. It's episodic. I'm kind of willing to give it a bit of a chance and see if people review it, because I'm a sucker for point-and-click adventure games, and I'm also a sucker for weird-looking games, and that's what this definitely is. But again, definitely a scenario where I want to see things done. I want to see it probably finished before I would buy this game and put into a compilation, and it reviewed really well. This game is a little weird. It's called Windstorm / Ostwind Ares Arrival, and apparently it's a video game based on a new novel, but I've not heard of this novel, and I really wouldn't have. And the idea of making a video game based on a novel is weird. Now, this animation looks awful, but there is something interesting about archery and riding horses. So, if this is really a novel that anybody is reading, I'm willing to put this on the follow list. However, I'm almost certainly not willing to pay $26.99 discounted for this game. Seems like there's barely 15 levels or missions in the game, so it's probably extremely short. 31 achievements and a lot of language support. So that just confuses how many different languages is this game released in. Okay. So I still need a major shaman victory. Really? Alright. This custom mage rank 21. Let's see if this wins. Hopefully I'm kind of hoping for a quick disconnect. Well, this may have already even happened, but Gamma Sutra has an article. Niantic announces a second Pokemon Go Earth Day event. This was March 27th. It's happening April 22nd. Okay. If you're interested in that,
I will fight with honor.
Seek out more information. That's about as much as I care about it. Wanna really win here. Next, we have a game on Steam called Metalloid Origin, which looks like a pixel graphics shooter platformer. Doesn't look terrible. And with tight controls, I might consider playing this. I want to see some more of this gameplay. No, this seems a little bit too fast-paced and too Mega Man-ish. And if I was going to do this, why not just play a Mega Man game first? I think I'm being probably a little too critical, though. Metalloid Origin is $10.79 discounted. I'm going to give it a chance. Put it on the follow list. It's English and Italian in this language, which is weird. So yeah, I'll give it a chance and put it on the follow list. Gamma Sutra has an article here. Xsola introduces new funding opportunity for indie devs. This is probably just Xsola writing their own article. It was written by staff. Let's see. So, if you want to be an indie dev and get some investment, that might be interesting to you. Actually, we're almost out of all the news now that I see it. TechRaptor has this article. French studio Pixel Reef, founded by Another World developer Eric Chahahi. So, okay. Developer of the cult classic Another World, also known as Out of This World in North America. He's founded a new studio called Pixel Reefs, and maybe they'll be making a new video game. That being said, Another World, probably not the greatest game to try to hang your hat on as far as being amazing. It was a cult classic, almost like it was because it was a Dark Souls-esque super difficult game. I'm not sure that they can make something that would meet modern standards as far as quality, but maybe it'll hire a bunch of people and maybe it'll do a good job, so you never know. And it's more competition in the long run, and I always want to see more competition. Let's see. 5 randomly split amongst all enemies. Gamma Sutra has an article, Real Fishing Road Trip Adventures announced for the PS4 and Switch. Unfortunately, not for PC. I'm still looking for a good fishing game on Steam.
Welcome to the show.
Tech Raptor has an article here. Rumor, this is just a rumor, From Software and George R.R. Martin are collaborating in an open world Souls game. This came out March 28th, so it's probably not an April Fool's Day, but it is just a rumor. I don't know what George R.R. Martin can add to anything when he can't even complete his own. Like when he's not really even completing his own series. Well, why do you want to take more of his time up?
At least I have chicken. Heating up.
And then finally we have a Tech Raptor article. Good old Galaxies. GOG Galaxy security vulnerabilities have been fixed. They apparently laid off a dozen employers, concluded their stopped their fair pricing project, and now there's a report that they had security vulnerabilities. Let's see. I don't think it was really a big deal because the story happened on March 28th and nobody else really reported on it much. Give me some secrets and I'll play some secrets. And that puts me on the Humble Bundle site. And since I bought those 2 bundles for this month, I seriously doubt there will be any more bundles left. I bought the Hot Date bundle and the Curve Digital bundle. Looks like the Curve Digital bundle has 17 more hours to it. And yeah, there's no new bundles. And so the only thing I could really do is go back to my Twitter feed on April 1st day and try and look for more things. Alright, so the only thing I think I really need to do is I need to get one more victory with Major Shaman on the Asian account. Otherwise, we're perfectly fine. We've burned through all the news. Any new news I found on my Twitter feed very well might be an April Fool's Day message, and so I don't want to mess with any of that. So yeah, we're in a good position just to end this stream. Let's see, where's my Alt tab? My keyboard's not working. My keyboard battery may have died. Okay. well, then we can just exit out and we'll end this way then, if that's how you want to play it, game. That's it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me even further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.